My name is Israel Calderon, and today I'm going to go over the user maintenance for the Tissue-Tek Glas G2. In today's video, we will discuss operator maintenance for both daily and weekly cleaning. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so now we're going to perform the daily user maintenance. Before we get started, just make sure you're wearing gloves, as there could be a high possibility that there may be broken glass, so make sure you're wearing gloves. And also, while performing any kind of user maintenance, please be sure to turn off the instrument. Okay, so taking a closer look now at the parts that we're going to be cleaning for the daily user maintenance, we want to make sure our conveyor area is clean. We don't want any debris or broken glass. So just make sure you use your dry brush, clean as much of that as possible. There's also a little tray here. If any of that debris is on there, you can also remove this tray and take your debris, dump it, and then put it back in place. So next, we want to also clean the bottom of the interior. So we're going to open the door, and you could move the load station around, and any other debris that has fallen from the top, you want to make sure you clean it out. And you can use even adhesive tape if need to get any of the broken shards. You want to avoid touching as much as possible with your gloves, but if you have like maybe adhesive tape, use that to pick up any broken glass. Again, use caution while cleaning any part of the debris that has any glass. Okay, so once we finished cleaning as much as we could with the dry brush, we're going to go ahead and remove any mounting medium buildup that may have occurred in the conveyor area. So since we do have the power off, now we can freely move the moving parts just to get a better angle at cleaning any mounting medium buildup. And so we have the conveyor. So any part of the slide that touches the conveyor, we want to make sure we clean. So the way to clean and take off as much mounting medium as possible is, again, with the cotton swab, you can dip it in a little bit of xylene and just make sure that there's no xylene dripping. So just a slight dip. You don't want to drip any of the xylene below the conveyor because there are sensors down there, and if those sensors get hit with the xylene, it'll damage the sensors and the machine will not operate until it's repaired. So just most importantly, just remember no dripping of xylene anywhere, but you can use xylene to clean. So again, any part of the conveyor that the slides touch, go ahead and just lightly brush. There's also 2 pins back here. There's one here. There's another one here. They're spring loaded and make contact with the frosted part of the slide. So you want to get your cotton swab again and clean the tips. Make sure they're not sticky. And also there's these 2 little moving pieces that make contact with the slide as well. So with your cotton swab, you would just want to make sure you clean the sides. And they're not, there's clean, no adhesive or mounting medium, both of those. And then these metal pieces here, the slide rests on them. And then these 2 little posts as well, because they also make contact with the slides. So just make sure they're clean. And then on the opposite end, you have the same as something similar as well. You have these metal pieces here where the slides rest. So these need to be maintained clean. The reason for that is if you have mounting medium there and the slides are moving across the conveyor, the mounting medium might stick or slightly stick, even if for a split second, it'll be enough to throw off the slides, and your slides are going to start moving. They'll be off, so they'll be crooked, and then this arm will move down to try to cover slip, and it might smash a slide, it'll break it, and you'll have broken glass everywhere. So in order to avoid crooked slides, you want to make sure your conveyor section is always clean. So you want to make sure you clean that at the end of the day. Okay, so on the cover glass arm, there's also a suction cup here, and that uses vacuum to grab the cover glass and cover slip the slides. So again, with some xylene, you can go ahead and clean underneath. Make sure it's nice and clean. You want to feel it after it's been, after the xylene dries. You want to feel it without the glove and just make sure, or with the glove actually, make sure it's not sticky. So it should be a nice rubber feel, shouldn't be sticky, because if there is either debris or mounting medium, then the cover glass will stick to the suction cup and also cause more errors that way. Okay, so next we have our dispensing nozzle. So we want to make sure we clean the tip. So again, with your cotton swab, make sure that the tip is clean. We want to make sure that it's dispensing properly. So let's verify that the nozzle is clean as well. And then we also have our dispensing waste tray. So as an example here, we have some mounting medium. And then if you look here, it's glossy, you'll have more. So this needs to be cleaned at the end of each day, because during cover slipping, you'll have buildup of the mounting medium and eventually it dries out. So you need to clean that. That way it could always be clean here at the end. And then when the dispense nozzle rides over it, it'll take off any excess mounting medium and it'll collect in the tray. So at the end of the day, go ahead and clean that out. So the gripper fingers also need to be cleaned. So now that we have the power off, again, with some little bit of xylene on your cotton swab, you can go ahead and clean the gripper fingers. They do tend to build up some little bit of debris over time, sometimes during the day, depending on how many slides are cover slipped. Most importantly, if the slides have labels on them, so the adhesive will start to come off, melt away with the xylene that's in the load container. In order to minimize that, the level of the load container should be below the frost or the labels of the slides. That way, when the slides reach the gripper, that adhesive is not sticking to the fingers. So anytime you're using labels, make sure that the level of the xylene is below the frost or the labels on the slides. And also on your stainer, you want to make sure that the levels are low there as well, right below the label area. So from here, we can go ahead and pull out the gripper. Now we have a little bit, we could see it more, and we can clean the fingers. So for example, here, they could be cleaned. We could see that they have a little bit of residue on them, debris. So we want to make sure, just kind of lightly clean them until you get rid of that debris or adhesive that's been building up on there. Also, this little white lever here, it's the one that detects that there's slides on the gripper. The tip, you want to make sure that it's clean. So if you do this on a daily basis, you will minimize and probably eliminate the majority of the regular errors that you may encounter. So part of the weekly user maintenance, we have the anti-drying bottle here. So this one we can remove once a week. And we're gonna, there will be xylene. It should be to the level of the bottle cap here, the bottom part of the cap. We want to make sure we get rid of whatever xylene is in here, completely dump it and clean it out. Then go ahead and refill it with fresh xylene just to the bottom here. So if there is a holiday or a 3-day weekend, or where there might be a week or so when the instrument will not be used for whatever reason, then at that point you can actually lower the dispensing nozzle into the xylene. Okay, so in order to move the dispensing nozzle down into the anti-drying bottle, we have a lever here. So we're going to move the lever, and we're going to see the nozzle, the dispensing nozzle, actually go down into the anti-drying bottle, and that'll keep the dispensing nozzle tip from drying out. So there. So now it's completely submerged in the xylene, and it'll stay safe. It won't dry out. Okay. Also, as part of the weekly maintenance, we have the loading station container. So once a week, we want to make sure that we clean out the inside of the container. So what you want to do is, if it's too dirty before the week ends, go ahead and replace the xylene. If it's not as dirty, then it could wait till the end of the week. But basically, when we're going to replace, we're not going to top off. We're going to get the loading station container. We're going to dump our used xylene. And to do that, we could pull this off, the inner part, and then we can dispose of our used xylene. So once it's empty, you want to get, again, a towel, wipe off any of that debris that may have accumulated. If you want to use water, you can. However, you must let the container dry before you put the new xylene. We recommend only new xylene, no recycled xylene. Once your new xylene is on there, you could do it either or. Place the inner part in first, then put your xylene. And close it. So the last part of the weekly user maintenance is to clean our receiving racks. So our receiving racks will also get mounting medium buildup over time. So what we want to do is we can either clean them or soak them overnight. So I'm going to grab here one of the receiving racks, and the buildup's going to be anywhere on the fins here. So you want to maybe get a bucket, soak them in xylene overnight, and then the next morning the mounting medium should be dissolved. At the same time, you want to inspect the rack, make sure it's not damaged or broken. For the monthly user maintenance, we have the replacing of the carbon filters. So the carbon filters are located on the lower left drawer. So we're going to go ahead and open that, and there's 2 carbon filters. So you want to replace those every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on if it's used, if the instrument's used consistently, every 2 weeks. If not, you can go up to a month before you have to replace them. Also, they're not keyed in any way, so you can be inserted this way, this way, this way. You'll notice that each filter has a label here with it allows you to write in the date, so that way you know when you replaced the filters, and that way 2 weeks or a month from now, you'll know that's what day to replace the filters. Okay, and last of all, the 2-month user maintenance, we're going to replace the xylene for the pump. Okay, so to remove the old xylene, go ahead and just use a small pipette. So we're going to take off the cap first. Get the pipette and take out as much xylene as you can. Again, try to avoid any dripping, just because you don't want any dripping of xylene anywhere. Once you get the xylene out, you can go ahead and put new xylene. Again, no recycled xylene on the instrument. New xylene, and fill it all the way to the top without overspilling, but all the way to the close to the rim here. You always want to maintain it full. If during the 2 months you see it start to go down, go ahead and refill it, or top it off. And then at the 2-month period, just go ahead and remove all the xylene and put new xylene. Okay, so that concludes the daily and weekly operator maintenance for the Tissue-Tek Glas G2. Please reference the care of the instrument handout for further guidance. Thanks for watching.